So, let's talk about Graal number 3. Graal number 3 is what we call a life of consequence. And what it really means is that we completely redid the way AI works in our game. But first, before we get to that, as you play this game, you're going to be making decisions. And those decisions will have consequences. What that means is the game is remembering everything you did. And it's reacting. The different NPCs, what quest opportunities are available, all those things are reacting to you based on what you have done. But it also changes what we can do inside the game, and that's where we get to talking about emergent AI. Now, the best and the easiest way for me to describe how that AI works is to run you through an example. So here's a concept piece of something we all know and love. Crushbone. Now, Crushbone's full of orcs. So let's take a look at the way orcs look in our game. That's an orc. Okay, now we all know a lot about orcs. They are what they are. But basically, they really want to get a lot of gold, and they want to do things that are really nasty to us. We know what they don't like is cities. They don't like to be around cities because cities have guards. And guards are just something that will always be bad for orcs. What they do like are lonely stretches of road where the occasional adventurer will walk by with a fat purse, and they can knock them over the head and take everything they own. Now, we know also that they don't like getting their butts kicked. It happens a lot, but they don't like it, okay? So, that's the way we set up everything in our game. Now, in a normal MMO, you'd come out here, we would set up a static spawn camp next to that lonely road, and it doesn't matter whether it's launch day or 10 years after launch, you're gonna walk down that road, and there's gonna be that orc spawn camp, and every 15 minutes they're gonna spit out a new batch of orcs. That's the way these games have worked for a long time. But our game is different. What we do is we tag everything in the world with what it is. The game is constantly polling the world to find out where the guards are. How often people have gone down a lonely stretch of road to find out whether it's lonely or not. And so what we do is we create orcs and then we just release them into the world. And then it's up to the orcs to find the spots that they like. And so when they find that lonely stretch of road where there's no guards, they set up a camp. And they're going to stay in that camp, waylaying the occasional adventurer until one of a couple of things happens. The players might go to a city and alert the guards, and the guards might start patrolling down the road. That would be something the orcs don't like. The adventurers might stop going down the road, in which case there's no gold going back and forth, and the orcs don't like that either. Or the players might kick them around a lot. And they don't like that either. Either way, they're going to uproot stakes and they're going to start wandering around the world trying to find the things that they do like instead of the things they don't like. And when they find that spot, they're going to put down stakes again and start harassing people. Now that allows you, the players, to make absolute change in the world. As we tell you to go out on quests to do things like pacify the woods because there's nasty goblins in them, you can actually do it. You go out into the woods and you harass those goblins and push them back until eventually they don't want to be there anymore and they leave. Now, it might not have the consequences you expected. You might go out there to pacify them and make the woods safe, but what might actually happen is that you tick off the Goblin King and he starts sending war bands to start pushing back at you. So you don't know what's going to be set up, and that's a big part of the game. So as you go through and you try to do things, the world will be reacting to what you've done, and you will be making change. Now that was a lot of talking, so let's see some more action. This is a combat scene where Jelena and Kishar are going to fight against an earth elemental. Players fall down the hole. So, okay, what you just saw is actually reasonably common in our game. There's all kinds of different areas where stuff like that might happen because of destructibility. You see, because We're not just building a surface world this time. We're building a world that has many, many, many tiers of depth to it. And in fact, it looks like this. So what we do is we procedurally create. Go ahead. What we do is we procedurally create all this fantastic content that's all the way through the world. And we know where everything is. We know where all the lost temples are in the ancient cities and all of that stuff. Because we have thousands and thousands and thousands of years of lore and archaeology that the designers have been building over this time. We know where everything is. We have all kinds of lore, and you'll be seeing a lot more of that when you go to the panels. But what that means is, as you explore through all these tiers of depth and stuff in the world, you're going to uncover all these dynamic quest opportunities. And as you explore through them and you choose what you want to do, and remember, the world is destructible, so you don't have to wait for us to reveal it to you. You can just pick up a pick and start making a tunnel. You can just explore through this whole area organically whenever you want to. And as you explore through this and you find these different quest opportunities, occasionally we'll have earthquakes or events in those quest opportunities will collapse caverns and stuff like that, and we'll recreate new areas procedurally. So as you explore through the world, it's constantly changing and you're constantly finding new content. And just as an example of that, let's go back to Kishar and Jelena, whatever her name is, Jelena, and re-get together with them while they're in the center of the world. Now, they couldn't find their way out, so they're just going to basically blow a hole in the crust below, and what they're going to find is a magma chamber. And that's Avoid Goliath. One thing's for sure, you'll always know where a battle was. Okay, so that leads us to Graal number 4.